Hello. Okay, this is officially installment number 2 of the Nautical series. My last one almost nobody watched, so maybe you'll go back and check that one out. But since we're having a cold, wet winter this year, I haven't worn a lot of stuff that last year I could have already been wearing. And so I have a lot of stuff that's kind of ready for the thrift store and some other stuff that's just still new in the bags that in the next month or so, maybe I'll be, wearing more often before it gets too hot. But this is the perfect kind of time of year or perfect kind of type of year to discuss, kind of these transition outfits. Like what I'm wearing right now, I would not technically consider nautical. This is more preppy with, a tweed flat cap and an argyle shirt, but we can bleed some preppy stuff into this mid-season because again, we have the cool weather, so we're not necessarily going for a strictly, summer look at all. We're going for, a spring look for the most part. But with nautical, it's a little trickier and technically a little more boring. But we're wearing a lot more dark blue, maybe some gray still because of the overcast mornings that you see at the beach. You can kind of say gray is nautical, and in some cases it is. It's just not as vibrant. Or conversely, I could get away maybe with this flat cap, instead with just a very plain. I'm not going to really address headwear too much in this one. I'll start with, a couple and then kind of tie it back in. Again, a dark blue baseball hat. If, you just want the visor, you know, you're gonna prefer a true navy to a really faded one most of the time, but you can still get away with this because again, it can blend with gray. So you can wear a baseball cap at this time of the year, and again, typically I prefer a wide brim hat that goes all the way around because I want neck protection and such, but that's not always practical in if you're going out to not necessarily a super fancy restaurant, but a nicer restaurant that they might still not frown too much on a ball cap if you're seated outdoors or whatever. Yada yada yada. So it's kind of situational, and we're strictly not talking about any Popeye hats in this video, even though if you have a hat that's pretty nautical and you just wear it, that's fine. I think I showed off Greek sailor caps in the last episode already. So if you want to go back and check that out, uh, some of these items that I'll be showing, it's going to be the same thing. I've already done a video. Go back and check out that video, but I'm going to show them anyway. Like something like this, like a trucker hat with a mesh. Not really a spring hat. Technically, it's a little bit light of a blue, but it's a summery one. So when we get into the warmer weather, you can get away. Now, when I was a kid, this mesh was just like only truckers wore this. That's why it's called a trucker hat. It was not considered trendy or cool in any way, shape, or form. But something like that is, acceptable. Where we deviate slightly, I'm going to keep coming back to this. That's why I'm showing it first. Now, something like this in more of a aqua sea foam. Technically, this is not nautical. Technically, this is coastal beach. So you got like preppy over here with a little overlap, and then you got coastal beach with a little overlap, but not a ton. You can maybe get, again, I would keep this more for summer than this time of spring, maybe late spring. This is like June, not April. Okay, does that resonate? And so, like I said, I'll be coming back to kind of that color with some outfit items. Um, but that is, you can get away. It's that nice soft pastel-y feel. Yeah, sure. But nautical is not really pastel-y. Okay, there's very little pastels that is going to work in nautical. Okay. Contrary wise, or I don't know if it's coming from this side or coming from just a totally different angle, is the whole like blue collar thing, because a lot of what I'm going to show is nautical, but it's not yuppie nautical or preppy nautical or whatever. So starting with that, I mean, we literally have, Levi's jeans, which, I did a video about these jeans already. And this weave, this particular kind of dark wash with this kind of basket weave, is more nautical than the traditional dad jeans. And again, this is the time of the year when I deviate and will actually wear jeans until it gets, just too hot. And then here's the cheaper version, the Denizen, but they look exactly the same. They have, kind of the same wash, the same basket weave, and they cost less. And what's the actual difference? I still don't know. But this you can get away with, but it's a more working class, real Navy, midshipman or whatever kind of look. You're not going for slacks at this point, or khakis. And similar to that would be like this Levi's shirt with, you know, pocket flaps. Pardon, that folded the wrong way. Okay. Pocket flaps of this sort. This looks like you're in the Navy and you're working on a ship. This does not look necessarily like you're going sailing, but you can get away with this without it being too blue collar, because it kind of doubles as a camp shirt. But I'll be showing more camp shirts. Camp shirts are typically more plaid or sometimes striped. This, being solid, is more true Navy and slightly less, jaunty, sporty nautical. But here we have, it's literally based on, I mean, you can see the dark buttons and everything. It's, instead of white ones, it's literally based on like a Navy shirt. And so similarly to that, a lot of guys will say a denim shirt is popular now instead of a chambray shirt. Here, I haven't worn this one yet, but instead of the dark wash, I have a dark wash one here somewhere that I'll show in a minute. This is going to look borderline nautical. If you go with the more traditional indigo, it's going to look more cowboy. I said that in the previous video. Similarly to that, but definitely more acceptable nautical. Here we have like the LL Bean chambray. This one has kind of an intentional weave in it, so it's a little bit trickier than their usual chambray. But here we have, white buttons, very Navy World War II kind of look. You can't, you know, you can't really fake it and pretend that that looks like not work wear, but you can still, again, this time of the year, you can still get away with a little bit more of a blue collar look because it's just not as warm outside, and you might want the long sleeves, and you're probably going to put a jacket or a windbreaker over it anyway. Similarly, we have the LL Bean canvas shirt, again, flat pockets, so not a dress shirt at all, definitely an outdoor working shirt. Buttons, they sell these in long and short sleeves, and of course I have a ton of both. But this time of the year, again, we're mostly going with long sleeves for obvious reasons. What are we wearing underneath of that? Anything of this kind of color blue. This Henley's almost completely shot, but a Henley instead of a t-shirt can be a nice option because you can open the buttons. Because again, we're transitioning from cooler weather to warmer weather, so that might be something you like. This blue, though, being a little bit faded. Again, when we're talking nautical, we're typically talking a much darker blue. So here it says Nautica right on it, because this is just a long sleeve t-shirt. A long sleeve t-shirt being perfect for lounging around the house, or possibly wearing under a longer shirt. I don't typically wear a long sleeve shirt on its own. Depends on what the print is. If it has like a print on the back, then yes, you can wear that as casual wear. If it just has a print on the front, I usually gonna layer it with a jacket, maybe have it open, or a lot of times when I was younger, it was always the short sleeve shirt over the long sleeve shirt. Not really a nautical look because the grunge look took that over, so that kind of ended as a nautical look. But Um, I just, well, this is just a t-shirt, but again, anything with stripes, this one having bold stripes versus, say, a polo shirt with really nautical stripes. I'll come back to him as just an example. Um, okay, another overlap where we're coming from the beach side again is kind of the surf thing. The surf thing is tricky because the surfers actually borrowed from the nautical while also borrowing from the tropical. So if you get like a surf shirt like this, it's technically a sailing shirt, even though the blue is a little vibrant for true navy, but it's a primary color. The yellow is a primary color. Where we run into problems is when we get the ones that have like purple or orange in them, then it's not going to look sailing, it's going to look surfing. And so again, we've crossed into that territory where it's no longer truly nautical. I mean, if it's your shirt and you're on vacation and you're just going to wear it, then fine. But if you're trying to look, match this with more of a nautical look, you're going to be a lot more forgiven that it has a yellow and black stripe than if this had an orange and a green, like an avocado green stripe or something. So obviously, this time of the year, we can still get away with dark blue, and that's the whole thing. Here's a Henley that isn't all beat up and worn out. Another LL Bean. Uh, Again, but this color for this time of the year. Now, in another month, it'll be way too hot, and I won't want to wear any of this color out in the daylight. But for now, like I said, again, we're having that perfect year, that perfect season, and you can get something like, with fishy boat stuff on it. Now, here's a t-shirt again, a t-shirt with a design on the back, nautical, acceptable. You can wear this for casual. I prefer mostly wearing camp shirts if I'm going out to an actual place, or again, the polo thing. Typically, see, most guys consider polo a shirt because it has a collar. I consider polo shirts basically underwear. They're not appropriate for most real situations. But if we're talking nautical, we're talking, out on boats. We want that boaty look. So I have like 500 polo shirts I'll be showing off in a minute. Don't worry. And so, but again, here with, a sailing motif. You're not, you might find this on an orange shirt, but save that for, September. And so again, boat, nautical, compass, birds, North Seas, South Seas, the windy, swept Atlantic, whatever. That is exactly what we were looking for. Okay, so what we were looking for, slightly less, but again, forgivable, would be, navy stuff. This one has red, white, and blue. So again, the blue's a little faded, but we can almost anything red, white, and blue is acceptable. I have a whole pile of red, white, and blue. We'll talk about it in a minute. Again, though, this is going to be much more of a blue collar look or a vintage, honoring the heritage kind of look than a true nautical look. Whereas, again, if we go with, so this is kind of a steel gray. Again, this time of the year, steel gray, January into May or June, steel gray really works for technically nautical. Again, this is more of a preppy look, but it has nautical elements. We've got the blue, we've got the dark gray, we've got the light gray. It's a camp shirt. It's squared off at the hem, so it's not meant to be tucked in, meant to be worn out with shorts. This, again, short sleeve. I'm not quite into the short sleeve time of the year yet, but again, if we're taking along a jacket, anything like this is acceptable as nautical, even though it's whereas like a safari shirt like this one also can work. Again, we have the flat pockets. This one has more of a textured slub weave, so it's not necessarily. Again, I would consider this more of a safari or a pilot shirt, but in the correct colors, this can still be considered nautical. Here we just have a generic gray. This one very faded and much more beat up, a lighter blue. This used to be darker. Excuse me. This used to be darker. Again, this blue, very June blue more than an April blue, but still works if you put it with the right hat. And they're square hem at the bottom. They're meant to be worn with shorts. Whereas something like this, again, is very, very navy. This was J.C. Penney did these a couple years ago. Instead of the flat pockets, it has this kind of button-through pocket. But oh look, an anchor right on it. A chambray, a very white contrast stitching, like dad jeans, except even more nautical than gold stitching. They had these in long and short sleeves. So again, whether you opt for long or short sleeve will just kind of depend on the day. Similarly, but not something I necessarily would wear year round, another one that you kind of have to layer with, but this is a seersucker in not quite a navy blue, but it's long sleeves, so not necessarily perfect for August. Again, the dark color, a little dark for me in the daytime. I prefer to wear something like this in the evening in June, kind of thing. Here's a similar one. Not technically nautical, more of a camp shirt. I didn't wear this one yet, but it's gray, red, white, and gray instead of red, white, and blue. A collar too small to wear with a tie. If memory serves, this is a short sleeve shirt. I didn't get around to wearing this one last year. Yeah, short sleeves. So, yeah, something like that. Vertical stripes, less nautical than horizontal stripes, but this one has horizontal stripes. So again, technically nautical. You're not going to see a lot of vertical stripes here. I know I mentioned stripes earlier, so I wanted to clarify that. So not technically nautical. Again, more preppy, but instead of red, white, and blue, we can go with the green. So blue and green, almost any combination of blue and green is good this time of the year. And here, I have a V-neck, just a cheap cotton V-neck sweater. This one's kind of dirty, so I don't really want to touch it to the other clothes. It needs to be de-dustified, but and it's a little faded because it's cotton. But yeah, obviously a preppy look. Casual button-down collar shirt with a V-neck vest without a tie, because we can wear a tie for nautical, but we can also skip it. If you have like a blue one with like an anchor motif or something that can complement that shirt, but that shirt can also go with like a tie with shamrocks or something on it from last month. So there you go. And then similarly, we can get V-neck sweaters in lighter blue, which would still go okay with that shirt. I think most people would wear this with a shirt with more white in it and less color. Again, we still have the Argyle thing we can kind of get away with, like I'm wearing, but here's this one with the green and the blue. So obviously that would go with that shirt. And something like this with even more white in it. This is just a casual bean thing. And the amount of white in it obviously typically would make it more dressy, but in this case kind of makes it more sporty, just kind of this wild plaid instead of more of a office casual. This is still office casual, but this is like your Friday casual as opposed to your like Monday office wear. So it's like, okay, as soon as I leave here, I'm going to my beach house kind of look, and then I can change there if I want to. I'll save those. I was going to do pants and shorts first, but I kind of started on shirts. I'll have to pause in a minute, but we're fine. So similar to that, then the rugby shirt. Now, again, this is a very dark. This is not a rugby shirt color combination I would necessarily want in autumn. This time of the year, you know, perfect, very nautical still, even though it's dark green. Again, dark green in a sailing shirt, t-shirt, not going to work as well. Dark green in a rugby shirt, very classic, very acceptable. Again, March through, especially because of St. Patrick's, and maybe February if you're just really into wearing rugby shirts. And it's January has already ended, and you're starting to come out of winter. You might be wearing the rugby shirts a little more without a jacket. Your results may vary. That one is a true heavy rugby shirt, whereas obviously you can get like lighter weight, cheaper, flimsier fabric ones for a third of the price or whatever, or less, but in the same color. This one looking very stripy, very nautical, very, what was this one, like $30 maybe. So if that one's, starting to get too heavy, you're getting a little sweaty, you can still pull off the look. It's a polo shirt with long sleeves. And then here I have another one from another company. This one, the gal told me that large would fit fine, and of course it's way too tight. So make sure you have enough room when you buy your rugby shirt if you're exploring a company that you don't know very well. But this one's got a little bit nicer of a collar instead of just a jersey collar. And if I lose 15 pounds, it'll fit fine. And it's in intermediary fabric, so it's not a total t-shirt fabric. It's more of a nice polo shirt fabric without being the heavy duty true rugby fabric. So, and this one was like $60. So yeah, kind of in there for the cost. Similarly, we have color block kind of polo shirts. I have some more of these I can show off in a minute. A lot of stuff I didn't wear last year. And some stuff that I put away. I guess I'll show this one off first. Similarly to the blue seersucker one I already showed, but here we have this total seafoam look and very coastal again. This is, your Atlantic June shoreline look, not your true boat look. I'd already showed this one, so I guess I'll show it again. But now here we have an overpriced t-shirt material, kind of a whatever polo that I literally just bought because it looks like Italy from the 1950s, right? With the big placket and the soft nothing collar, just a very, very, very ultra casual shirt. Then of course we have the red, white, and blue thing again. You can find little shirts with a little bit of accents. This time of the year, we can still wear the navy instead of opting for lighter colors. Here we have total red, white, and blue. This is another long sleeve one. And the color is actually decent on this. You can get ones with very, nothing collars. Those ones are actually better than I thought. Let me go ahead and pause it here and reset.